Last year, how many private jets were sold in the United States?
There were 672 new private jets sold in the U.S. last year, which is down just slightly. It was down a couple percent, but it shows us that this is still a really robust industry in the United States. There's still a lot of money and interest in buying these jets, even though there's been a lot of sort of political criticism, and they maybe have gone out of fashion a little bit. You know, people see it as conspicuous consumption in a lot of ways, but the people who use these jets say they're indispensable.
And what does the average tycoon fly? Like, what's a Toyota Camry of private jets?
Well, the most popular private jet in the U.S. is the Cessna Citation Excel. It's a lower-end private jet, which kind of seems like a strange thing to say, right? Because it is, in fact, a private jet. I mean, one of those will still run you $11, $12 million.
$12 million is the lower end.
Right, these are luxury, high-end private jets, and this is one of the cheaper ones. That this is sort of the standard for the industry. At the other end, on the higher end, you might buy a Gulfstream 550. Okay. These are the really expensive ones where you start looking at $50, $60 million for one of these jets.
That's a Ferrari, right? If money's no object, a Gulfstream is what I'm flying.
Yeah, I mean it's very sexy, so it is kind of the Ferrari thing. But there's real reasons for business people to use these jets too. It's not just to show off. You might buy a Gulfstream 550 or a Bombardier Global Express, one of these really expensive ones, because they've got super long range. Yeah. I mean, you can fly from New York to Tokyo. You can take these trips on the drop of a dime when your company needs to go and get there quickly.
A lot of these billionaires and tycoons and just CEOs, they don't see them as luxuries. They see these private jets as tools. I mean, what was the famous Buffett quote?
Yeah, I mean, famously, when Berkshire Hathaway bought their first private jet, Warren Buffett was very much against it. He thought, this is ridiculous, we don't need to do this. And so they nicknamed the private jet the Indefensible. And within a couple of years of that, Buffett had fallen in love with the thing. He joked in his shareholder letters that he wanted to be buried inside the plane. They started calling it the Indispensable instead of the Indefensible, because it really is, when you're an executive and you need to travel a lot, you quickly realize this is not just a luxury. You don't have the time to spend all that time at an airport and waiting for your Delta flight that's going to be delayed for a couple hours. I mean, the private jet really makes a difference.
And they can take off whenever they want. They can be like, I need to leave in an hour. They can go. There's no.
You can set your own schedule. I mean, there's still some of the same rules that apply about security and getting on the plane, but it's much faster and much more convenient than flying commercial.
But the convenience costs money. So if I was going to fly on a private jet, a Gulfstream, let's say, from New York to San Francisco, a very commonly traveled route, what would that cost me in a private jet?
We priced out that exact trip. You don't have to own a private jet. A lot of places you can lease it for a weekend. So we priced out a trip from Friday night to Sunday night, New York to San Francisco, to rent the Gulfstream 5 for the whole weekend. And it's just $106,000.
$106,000.
Quite a bit more expensive than flying commercial. But you do have your own plane, and you're paying for the expense of not just the jet itself, but for fuel, for the crew, to put them up in a hotel in San Francisco over the weekend, to park the jet in an airport. It's an expensive proposition.